Hey y'all, so today we're going to be doing congruent triangles. Congruent triangles, our objective is to identify congruent triangles, to explore angle-side relations in triangles, and to use congruent triangles to find missing angle and side measures. I gave you a handout in class that I said that you would need to follow along with in your notes while you were doing your lesson tonight. I hope you have it. Before we do any of that, we are going to, that's my hair. Before we do any of that, we are going to just review something that you should already know, but I want to make sure you really understand it. So, here's what you should know. You should know these are called angle marks. These little, they look like indented tick marks. Those are called angle marks. If you notice, this is an equilateral triangle, so that means that all the angles are equal, which means all the sides are equal. To indicate that all the sides are equal, you have to do, these little tick marks, so the sides are equal. If they weren't equal, and let's say this was not equal to that is how it would look, that this side is not equal to these two sides, but it is equal, so we'll take that away. So if you look at your next one, 64 degrees and 64 degrees, that indicates that this is equal right here. And if that's equal, I know it doesn't look equal, by the way, let me redraw that angle. It doesn't even matter. With one angle mark indicates that they're equal. So to find the other angle mark, you have to do, you already know that it's not equal because an equilateral triangle each has 60 degrees. So you can do, to find the other one, you'd have to do 180 minus 64 plus 64. And I would add first 64 plus 64, 120 plus 8 is 128. So 180 minus 128. And then that would be 52 degrees. So this one over here is 52 degrees. So that's not equal. To indicate that S isn't equal, I use a different angle mark. So I would use 1, 2, 3. Oh, not 3. Just kidding. Just 2. Undo. So I would use 2 angle marks. Okay, so now if I look at my other angle, we need to talk about the sides. So if these are both 64, which you can't even see what I'm pointing to, if this is 64 and this is 64, that must mean that this side is equal to this side. So that would indicate I would put a line here and a line here, and then I would do a different line here. So that would be different. Make sense? Okay. So the next one, this is 60, this is 40. If this one's 60 and this one's 40, then I have to do 60 plus 40 is 100, and then I know that the other one is going to be 180 minus 100, which is 80 degrees. So none of them are equal. That's an 8. I really need to work on my handwriting skills with a stylus. So to indicate that they're all different, I could put 1 angle mark here, 2 angle marks here, and 3 angle marks here. That would indicate they're all different measures. And that's the same thing with the tick marks. I can do 1 tick mark here, 2 tick mark here, and 3 tick mark there. And that means that they're not all equal sides. So I hope that all makes sense to you. And now that we're done reviewing that, I think we can go on to our lesson. Okay, so in class today I gave you this handout. I'm going to actually explain it to you. I also attached an e-backpack, like an extra resource to help you if you don't understand what I'm explaining to you right now. Basically, you only need 3 sets of corresponding parts congruent in order to prove 2 triangles are congruent. So you need to figure out if you have the correct information or not. So if you go to this section right here, This is a foldable. I mean, obviously mine's on a iPad, so it doesn't look like a foldable. But if you have a side, 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 all sides of a triangle are congruent, then the 3 pairs of congruent sides are congruent. This is a side, 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 side postulate. If you have angle, side, angle, so here's an angle, here's an angle, here's a side, and here's an angle, and they're congruent, I mean they're all the same, that means, yes, you have the right information. Angle, side, angle means that they are congruent. So the next one is angle, angle, side. So if you have an angle, then a side, then 2 pairs, if they're the same, 2 pairs of congruent angles and a non-included side is angle, angle, side theorem. And that means that, yes, that means that if they are like that, that means they are congruent. But if you have just all the angles, if all the angles are congruent, then no, you cannot prove that they're congruent. This is because, just imagine look at these 2 triangles. They have the same angles, but you know that this is not equal to this. This height is not equal to this height, but they still have the same angles. I know, that's cool, huh, Reese? So, I want you to go, we're going to go this way, side, side, angle. So here we have a side that's the same, 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 but we have the same angle too. They may not be congruent. Side, side, angle will not be congruent. But if they have a hypotenuse, which is, the hypotenuse is the longest side. It's the one that's adjacent to the right angle. So I'm going to actually show you that. If we have a hypotenuse across the way, 2 pairs of congruent sides of a right triangle, hypotenuse-like theorem. So this is my hypotenuse. These 2 sides are equal. You can't even see what I'm pointing at. This side is equal to this side, and this side is equal to this side, which means that 2 pairs of the congruent sides of a right triangle is the hypotenuse-like theorem. And I promise you this is all going to make sense whenever I show you an example on the next slide. I just want to walk you through it so you know what you're looking at. Yeah, okay. So 2 pairs of congruent sides and the included angle. Yes, that means that they are congruent. So that means side, angle, side. So side, angle, side are congruent. So that means these 2, side, angle, side, that means these 2 are congruent. Yeah. So we're going to go on and we're going to do an example because that will make more sense to you. I promise. Okay, so use the corresponding parts of the congruent triangles to find the missing angle measures and side lengths. You need to write this in your notebook, so if you need to, pause the video. So triangle RST is congruent to triangle ZXY. This means congruent too. So it already tells you that it's congruent. But with everything we just learned, we are going to be able to find the measure of RS by looking at triangle ZXY, even though they aren't named the same triangle. Because they are congruent, if I look here, from S to T, there's 2 tick marks. So S to T is corresponding X to Y, which means that's just a fancy way of saying that they're congruent. You need to know that, though. When I say corresponding, you need to know that they're congruent. So R to T is corresponding to Y to Z. So S to R has 1 tick mark, and it's corresponding to 2.5 to ZX. So that means this angle side, this missing side must be 2.5. That's all that means. Okay, so I want you to draw this in your notebook, and then I want you to see if you can figure out what the measure of angle PQN is, and pause the video. So if you look at angle PQN, PQN means that you're looking for Q, because that's the one that's in the middle. And what do you notice about angle Q? Well, angle Q has 2 tick marks. Well, if KLM and PQN are congruent, that means that I can just go over to the angle that also has 2 tick marks, which is angle L, so that angle Q must also equal 40 degrees. Pretty easy. Okay, so 1, 2, and 3, if you read the directions, it says which statement, side, 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 or angle, side, angle. S just means side, A means angle, if you haven't got the clue yet. So, shows why the triangles are congruent. Explain. So, it's not telling you to tell me, are they congruent? It's saying they are congruent. Why? What tells me that? So, if I look at number 1, I'm going to make this larger. If I look at number 1, it shows me that I have an angle. Hang on. It says a side. Oops. Side, angle, angle, side. And if I look here, I have side, angle, side. So, side, angle, side theorem is what tells me that these are congruent. So, now if I go to number 2, delete, So now if I go to number 2, I look and I have just all my sides. Side, I did it again. Side, 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 and then another triangle, they share the same side, but side, 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 side. So my theorem would be SSS. And if you look in your foldable, SSS does say that it's congruent. So let's go on to our next one. So the next one has a angle. She's spitting. She has an angle. Angle, side, angle. So that means if I come over here, I have angle, side, angle. So that means that's my hair. That means those are congruent. Angle, side, angle. Alright, so this is the last stretch. Find the missing side measurements. Yes, you can see that I whited out some stuff. We're looking for the missing side measurements, and we need to look at what our picture already says. So, if we look, triangle ABC is congruent to triangle ZXY. So that means that ABC is congruent to ZXY. So, if I look, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my angle marks and my tick marks to indicate that they're congruent. So 59 degrees, I'm going to use 1, 59 degrees. And then 71 degrees, I'm going to use 2. And then 50 degrees, I'm going to use 3. Well, I already have over here, I have these 2 angles that are filled. So I know that the last one that's left, that we don't know, that actually is asking what number 5 is asking you for, is going to be 3 tick marks as well. Which means that ZXY is equal to ABC, which this angle right here, it's already covered, but it was 50 degrees. Oops. So then, all I need to do is look for number 4, find the missing side measurements. So if I look at the missing side measurements, the one I'm missing is this one. So I want to look at my sides, and I know that this is 8 inches, this is 8 inches, this one's 9 inches. This looks really ugly with a stylus. This is 9 inches. So from B to C is what's left. This is 3 inches, and it's in between. It should also be 3 inches. 3 tick marks, I'm sorry. Let's double check to make sure that's correct. This is 1 angle measure, 3 side marks, and 3 angle measures. This one's 1 angle measure, just like this one. 3 side marks, and 3 angle measures. You okay, big girl? Yeah, probably not good to jump and have your fingers in your mouth. Okay, so find the missing side measurements. So that means that my x is equal to 11 inches. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed your first video lesson, and I hope that you took some notes because tomorrow I will be checking your notebook. Okay, God bless.